Hello there, fellow NPCs. I am Garvin Scythe, and today we are most likely doing the last episode of Everlasting Summer. But it's the last episode of the main play. We still have to do the, I guess it's a mod, the Senya path. But yeah, we are most likely at the very last episode of the main gameplay. And we have met Yulya, and we have been walking towards the city skyline, and we can see it right here behind her. We can choose to go all the way over there now that we can actually progress, or we can choose to go back to Sovyanok. And yeah, that Yulya wants us to go back, but she will go with us, if I remember correctly, if that is what we choose to do. But she wants us to go back because she wants things to stay the way they've always been. The way she recognizes it. When she can just stay in the camp and continue to collect food for the winter. That is never going to come because it's the everlasting summer. So yeah, with that said, let's go. And we are going to start with going back to Camp Sovyanok actually. Okay. I forced myself to speak. What? Yulya was surprised. Okay, let's go back. Weren't you expecting this answer? She smiled cunningly. No, why do you think that? Because you always say that everything repeats itself in 7 days and I can't get out of here. So check it out. Oh, check it out. Shouldn't we check out that city for starters? It's up to you to decide. I looked at her intently. Something seemed to have changed in Yulya, but I couldn't understand what it was exactly. I've already decided, I mumbled. Then we should go. The cat girl made her way across the field in the direction of the forest with confidence. Hey, wait, where are you going? It will take less time. Less time? The thoughts started spinning in my head furiously, merging into one, which probably wouldn't be a pleasant one. So, all this time, I caught up with her in 2 strides and grabbed her tail. Oh, did you know all this time? That I could go straight here without wandering for the whole day? Yulya hissed furiously and bared her teeth. I let go of her tail. Yeah, you don't grab people by the tail. It's like grabbing someone by the ear and most likely really jointing it. Hey, stop here. You know, so that's a bad no-no. No. I mean, I might have known, but you have nothing to do there. In that city. Yes. Why? I don't know. It shouldn't be that way. It's not right. I can't explain. I just know. I turned around and looked at the distant lights. I wonder, could things get any worse? It is not that everything is really bad right now, but what if that city doesn't disappear? And what's happening at the camp? What do Olga Dmitrievna's words mean? Should I still hesitate if I have already decided what to do? Alright, let's go. We walked through the forest almost all the way, crossing forest edges and fields just a few times. Yulya seemed extremely satisfied with something. Will you explain what is happening to you? Everything is just so unusual. Because it was not like this before. Where everything repeated itself after 7 days. Yeah, I've heard it already. She just smiled in return. I wonder what happened back at the camp. Look! The camp gates were visible in the distance, beyond the trees. We started to walk faster. It was clear that something was wrong. Sovyanok seemed abandoned. Oh. I could assume that pioneers went to bed, but there was no lights except for the street lamps. And why isn't Olga Dmitrievna waiting for us here with a biohazard squad? She said on the radio that something happened. Right. She did say that. A strange anxiety had overwhelmed me at once. I looked at Genda and there... The city! There's no city. Yulya seemed to be surprised too. Surprised for real. So I didn't jump at her with questions. Having reached the camp leader's cabin, I stopped for a moment in hesitation. Images of possible events flashed before my eyes. However, I quickly pulled myself together. This is just some nonsense. There was nothing to support the idea of this science fiction story turning into a bloody thriller. I determinedly pulled the door handle and entered the cabin. Determinedly. Difficult word. No one was inside. Well, no point in staying here then. I rushed to the cabin of Yulya and Alyssa. Without dwelling on my thoughts, I knocked on the door, but only silence responded. I walked around the cabin and looked in the window. It was empty. Well, that doesn't mean anything. They might have gone somewhere. I ran to the canteen. Maybe everybody decided to have a late dinner. However, the door was locked. I went back to the square and dropped onto a bench, exhausted. Enough running, maybe? Yulya, who had followed me in silence, asked me without much interest. Well, true. Why did I start panicking? Though, what if something actually had happened? Well, I'm hungry. I'll go look for something to eat. I didn't object, and in a moment Yulya silently disappeared in the night. It's either some stupid prank, which was hard to believe, or everyone really had disappeared somewhere. Yeah, which is a reason for you to panic. The event itself isn't any stranger than my arrival here, or that mysterious city which showed up and then vanished, but I'd gotten used to this camp and its inhabitants, and now, such a twist. I'd more or less adapted to my new circumstances, and now something happens again. I cursed and covered my face with my hands. I would probably have sat like that for several minutes until tears started to flow, but my eardrums were almost broken by a loud noise. What the hell? It sounded like a thunderclap. Yeah! But where did it come from? There wasn't any cloud in the sky. I opened my eyes and saw someone in front of me. You! I uttered, stammering. A thunderstorm rumbled in the clear sky, the lightning flashes obscuring the face of the man standing before me. Well, sad face, Semyon. Who are you? I shouted. Calm down, you don't have to get so tense. Nervous cells don't regenerate, you know. There might be some truth to that, just a very weird thing to say. My first thought was to run, but my body didn't respond to that idea. The lightning was still flashing brightly and there was no chance to see the pioneer's face clearly. However, I was sure that I had heard that voice before. Well, yeah, it's your own voice. Who are you? I asked in a quieter tone. Perhaps you have a more appropriate questions. Where has everyone disappeared to? They have played their parts and we don't need them anymore. Parts? What parts? Their parts. And what about the city? What city? I wasn't sure whether I got a trace of surprise in his voice, or I was just hearing things. The city! There! I waved my hand in the direction of Genda. Ah, you're talking about... He went silent for a moment. It's your fault. I don't understand. It's because you don't try hard enough. The pioneer raised his voice. You just need to think. Just think. How long have you been here? 5 days? 6? Or 26? 6, probably. 6? Why 6? Are you sure about 6? Why are you sure? Because you counted the numbers of dusks and dawns? Or because you looked at the date on your mobile phone? I don't know. The pioneer before me lost his temper. He had no clue what he was talking about. 6. Okay, let it be 6, he said calmly. And haven't you been here before? No? Are you sure about that too? I don't know. And what if I say that you've been here before? I had absolutely no idea how to react to his words. Something was happening to me, like on the first day here, something inexplicable, terrifying and maybe dangerous. But I don't remember. Why do you have to remember? He fell silent, seemed lost in thought. However, you really don't remember. Well, I'll tell you then. I could hardly hear his words through the sound of the thunder. My eyes were getting teary because of the lightning flashes, but I was afraid to even blink and give the pioneer a chance to disappear. He might really tell me how I turned up here. This is not the first time you've been here. I don't know how many laps you've had, but it doesn't matter. But why? I don't remember anything. You should not remember. You should not. He shouted. Sorry. I decided not to interrupt him. Yes, it is not your first time here, he continued in a calmer voice. But this time is special. It will be the last one for you. I couldn't understand what his definition of the word last was. Will I get out from here and return to my normal life, or does it mean that I'll die here? Well, that's my only opinion. He went silent for a long time. I decided to ask a question at last. How do you know all this? How? Let's say that I'm your brother in misfortune, and an explosion sounded nearby. It seemed like lightning struck a tree just a dozen meters away from me. I instinctively covered my head with hands and fell beneath the bench. I don't know how long I was lying there, but by the time I had slightly recovered from the shock, the thunderclaps had stopped. I opened my eyes. Yulya was standing where the pioneer had been standing before. So, you met your colleague? She smiled and offered me a hand. Shocked, I didn't know what to do and kept lying down. How long are you planning to stay there? I stood up with difficulty. Who was that? If I have to choose the lesser evil, then I would rather trust Yulya than the mysterious pioneer. Well, how should I put it? She got lost in thought. You know, you're not the only one. To be more precise, you're the only one here, but there are more of the same camp, lots of them, and there are more of the same you. A lot of them too. I didn't understand anything. Some of them can appear in other places, like this pioneer, for example. So you knew all that, but didn't tell me. You didn't ask. She shrugged her shoulders. Should I be afraid of him? I don't think you should. Although, should I or should I not? My anxiety grew. I doubt that he can take a physical form, but you should be careful with him. I have received so much information at once that I would need more than a week to comprehend it all. Though keeping all that in mind, I understood that this information doesn't explain anything at all. So there are lots of people like me. Yes. But how did we get here? I don't have an exact answer for that question. I just know that it's you who came here. Just one person came here, to be more precise. Yulya now looked nothing like the strange girl with animal ears who was sprinkling sugar on mushrooms. She was the exact opposite. There was confidence in her eyes, and even some arrogance. No signs of her earlier childish infantilism. Who are you then? Me? Yes. Honestly, I have no idea. I stared at her with an open mouth. How's that? You have no idea? The only thing I remember is that I was here. I don't remember anything else. Like, there was nothing else. I must watch you. All of you. And I exist in all camps simultaneously. After recovering from my shock, I continued. And you don't know who you are? Bingo. She laughed. But that's impossible. Well, I would understand amnesia, but all-powerful beings can't have it. And who told you that I'm all-powerful? Are you not? Actually, I'm capable of nothing. I can't interfere with the natural flow of events. Now she's speaking very clearly. Like I said, she knows her language she has developed as well. But didn't you know, or see? I know a bit of something. I saw a bit of something. And what will... well, you know. I had no idea how to put the question. Nothing. Usually 7 days pass and one of you leaves the camp. I would even say disappears. Then a new one comes and everything repeats. The number of camps is constant. Okay, so what is that number then? We spoke about this before. Disappears. Where? I don't know. That can't be possible. You told me so much and... Do you think I'm hiding something from you? No. I said, exhausted. I guess I shouldn't doubt her words. At least for now. Maybe they don't disappear. Maybe they just go for another lap. I can't rule out that possibility, but I don't think they do. And what is happening to me now then? I can't explain this either, but I know for sure that this was meant to happen, and this is something unusual. The course of events is different this time. The pioneer spoke about it too. He might know more than me. But how should I understand all of this? I sighed deeply and covered my head with my hands. I think we will find that out very soon. Okay, but finally, who are you then? Yulya powdered her lips. I told you before. So, do you have memory loss then? No. She thought for a moment. I don't have a memory at all, probably. There was no me before this camp. I didn't exist. But I didn't finish the sentence. Taking into account everything that happened here, there was a lot I could only make assumptions about. And that means I should not be surprised by a girl with animal ears. Are you something like an observer here? Probably. I think the word is the most appropriate. And what about all the inhabitants disappearing after playing their parts? What are you talking about? The pioneer said that... Parts? She moved her ears in a funny way, making me smile. There is something to it, because only you are real here. I mean, you, that pioneer, and all the other ones. How's that? I told you I don't know. You can assume that I appeared here with a limited amount of knowledge, nothing more. There are things that I am not sure about, and there are things that I know no more about than you. Fine. On one hand, her words seem logical enough, if you can even talk about logic in such a situation. And what do you suggest to do next? To wait and see how things will turn out? Yes, you can't change anything, I mumbled. Anyway, it's dinner time. She smiled merrily and waved her tail. Didn't you go look for something? I didn't find anything. I had no time. I saw the lightning and came back at once. Let's go. She went in the direction of the canteen. She'd better stick with me. It might be that there was no pioneer at all. And if I wasn't the only one who can see him, then there would be less grounds to doubt my sanity, which was not feeling very secure lately. Yulya sat down at the table and looked at me. So? What? Dinner. Yes, what about it? I yawned. The time was long past midnight. By the way, how did you open the canteen? You got to have the skills. No need to continue with this topic. Maybe it's better to go to sleep. Cook now! She said in a dictatorial tone. Me? I don't see anyone else around. Oh, okay. I slowly walked towards the kitchen. Because of all the talk of food, I suddenly felt hungry. I found a carton of eggs in the fridge and called out to Yulya. Hey, how about scrambled eggs? Well, maybe. I started cooking. Funny, the way things turn out. Bizarre and incomprehensible events are happening to me, and yet I'm just standing here making dinner. Just hoping for the best. It's a typical Russian feature, yes. Nevertheless, I am quite sure that nothing bad will happen. And in case of unexpected problems, Yulya will protect me. Although she says that she does not know much, in a critical moment I can certainly rely on her. There is simply nobody else to count on. Just yesterday nothing was up to me, but at least I had a slight idea what was happening. However, now, the only thing left to do is to comfortably lean back in a chair and wait for the installation to be finished. I added grated cheese, mayonnaise, salt and pepper and poured a well-stirred mass into the pan. I also found a salami in the fridge and a loaf of bread on the shelf next to it. Soon we were sitting in silence and eating scrambled eggs. Yummy, yummy! It's nothing special, ordinary bachelor-style dinner. Never tried anything like this. Probably better than mushrooms and nuts. That's enough, Yulya answered angrily. When we finished dinner, I said, "Tell me something about yourself. Though you'll probably have nothing to tell." "Probably. How long have you been here?" "I don't know. A long time." "But are you mostly human?" "Well, very likely. Then how can you be at several places at the same time?" "It's hard to explain. I don't really understand it myself. Let's assume that here and now, in front of you, I'm the only one." I could accept such an assumption. In the end, although the fact that Yulya had many faces was just one mystery among many others happening here, it was definitely not the main one. At least that's what I thought. Well, let's assume that. And what do you do? And what do you know about the world? "I can read and write, if that's what you mean." She laughed. "No, not exactly that. Do you know where this camp is located?" "No." "Then maybe you know that I'm not from here. Not from this time. Not from this reality." "Well, I know, but not any details." "And if I ask her what the year is now?" "I can't answer." I took a deep breath and stared out the window. "In general, you can assume that there are some things I know more about than you, and some I know less. So what should we do?" "As I told you before, just wait." "Wait? And what are we gonna do?" "What do you wanna do?" "I don't know, but forgive me, I don't feel like climbing trees." Okay, then maybe you will tell me something about yourself." "Not now." "As you wish. So what then?" "I don't know. Maybe just sit and wait. I don't mind." "But that's so boring." "I don't see any alternatives." "So let's go. Come on." She thought for a while. I looked keenly at Yulya. Looks like she really finds everything happening here amusing. Moreover, the current situation doesn't seem strange to her. According to her, there is nothing unusual about it. You know, everything that's happening is not quite normal to me. I don't even understand why I'm not currently hiding somewhere under my bed, trembling at every sound. "It turns out you are brave." I said nothing but merely smiled. "I got an idea." I looked at her with interest. "No, I've got it again." "Okay, that's interesting that she forgets their idea right after having it." Yulya scratched her cat ears. "Ah, just remember, let's go swimming." Now I stared at her in disbelief. Maybe it'd be better to go to sleep. "Oh, come on!" she pouted. Indeed, the day had been hard and I was soaked with sweat. It's much easier to fall asleep in this heat when you are clean. Okay, let's go. A few minutes later, we were at the beach. I lazily sprawled on the sand and looked at the river. I immediately felt completely exhausted. You know, I don't actually like swimming. Meaning you don't know how to swim? Yulya sat next to me. Well, it's not that I don't know. Anyway, that doesn't matter. The pioneers, fine, but how could the whole town disappear? I told you before. I don't know. Let's go swimming. I don't want to. I never like to reveal that I'm a lousy swimmer. Oh, come on, stop it. You can splash in the water near the shore. Okay. Wait, I'll go get my swimming trunks. But Yulya seemed not to hear me and started to undress. What? Are you going to swim like that? Yes. Anything wrong with that? I turned away at the right time. Aren't you shy? I tried to speak as calmly as possible, but the reason I did not look at her was because my face was burning, rather than out of politeness. Shy about who? Shy about who? You? She laughed. You know what? I turned around. Yulya was already in the water up to her neck. Come here! I decided that nothing bad would happen if I stayed in my underwear. I undressed and entered the water. Ugh, it's cold. Move around and you get warm, like me. She started to jump and wave her hands in the water. I still felt awkward. You've gone red, Yulya said excitedly. Of course I am. Next to me there's a naked girl, or at least a female humanoid. And that's enough. Well, did not expect her to be so clingy. But yeah. I turned around and at the same moment I felt Yulya hug me. This is also a part of your program? I understood that I was saying complete nonsense, but nothing more meaningful was coming out of my head. What? Well, it's, you know. Suddenly I realized that I was being hugged from behind by a naked, omnipotent being which is able to exist in multiple realities simultaneously. My brain was instantly overloaded by errors about the lack of system resources. Here it is, a blue screen of death. My legs buckled and I started to go under the water. Yulya helped me up. There's no need to drown yourself. She was still hugging me. I felt it even stronger. What are you going to do? Swim, obviously. So that means that you're not suggesting anything? I tried to say it with a calm expression, but it did not turn out very well. Like what, for example? Well, even though you don't remember much, you essentially behave quite reasonably. So, you should understand. Well, I don't know, she said slyly. Oh, slyly, huh? Suddenly I felt something twisting around my thighs, which would be her cat tail. I tried to pull myself away, but Yulya held me tight. Also, motion physics in the water are very different from on the land. It's just my tail. A tail? Don't you find it strange that you have it at all? No, of course not. What, you don't like my tail? If you step on my tail, then you're gonna get hurt. Wait a minute. I paused for a moment, trying to phrase the thought I just had. So, you've seen that series too? Wait. That's a reference I do not understand. What series? The one you just quoted. It's just... She suddenly stopped and thought. Don't people say that? Some kind of saying? So you don't know where it's from? No. And who cares? Yulya laughed. Her tail continued to probe my body. Could it be that Yulya still has memories about her time before the camp? Maybe they're hidden somewhere, or suppressed. She got the quote somehow. Of course, maybe she heard it from one of the pioneers. But isn't it too early for that show to even exist? The only conclusion is that Yulya seems to be a prisoner in this camp, the same as I. Just a more mysterious one. What happened next happened by itself. Even if what I was going to do was dangerous, in the end I'm a red-blooded man. Boy! That is intense. At that moment Yulya was not an all-powerful being to me. I was holding an ordinary girl in my arms. I brought the sleeping Yulya to my cabin. She was surprisingly light. I put her on the bed, collapsed beside her and closed my eyes. But all my attempts to get to sleep failed. I felt a terrible thirst. Quietly, so as not to wake Yulya up, I got out of bed, pulled on my shorts and went outside. On the way to the washstands, I thought about everything that happened. I didn't care about whether it was right or not. No, that wasn't the main issue. I decided that I just didn't have any other choice in that situation. More important are the possible consequences. Even if Yulya was a little different from me, we could say that she was closer to who or what was behind all this. Just because she knows more than me. Which means, however, blindly assuming or drawing conclusions about anything, it is a difficult task in this camp. I was sure of that by now. I quenched my thirst and washed myself. I was going back to the camp leader's cabin, whistling a piece from p44 by Grieg, when somebody called out to me. How did you... I jumped on the spot, turned and saw the silhouette of that pioneer. There was no chance of seeing his face clearly in this darkness. So it's you again. Who? Who, me? Not in the sense that I'm the one that you have already seen, but in the sense of who, in fact, I am. I don't understand. Neither do I. That was a very strange sentence, but I understand what he's saying. I remember that Yulya told me that he can't do me any physical harm, and I calmed down a bit. Oh, whatever. Besides, I saw how you were getting it on back there. That gave me the heebie-jeebies. No matter how fantastic a situation is, it's always frustrating when you're caught doing something so intimate. Did anyone ever tell you that it's not nice to spy on people? You're upset. No, why would I be? I snorted and half turned towards him, trying in vain to see his face. And what has that cat-eared one told you? She has a name. I felt a strong attachment to Yulya, so I didn't hesitate to stand up for her. A name. And what is it? An all-mighty observer? The double-faced Janus? Yulya, I said a bit uncertainly. Yulya? He started laughing like a horse on meth. I am very interested in knowing what that sounds like. And who gave it to her? You, probably. Fine. Tell me what you want and get lost. Okay, your majesty. Just don't be angry. He bowed awkwardly. The sight was so grotesque that I even shuddered. And what has this so-called Yulya told you? I decided there was no point in hiding the information I'd found out recently. She told me that there are many other camps, that you are the same as me, and that after 7 days we'll leave and never come back. It was disgusting for me to be in the same boat as him, but a fact was still a fact. Yes, that's about right. And what did she tell you about herself? Do you think it's any of your business? Besides, surely you know everything without me. Yes, I know something. I dealt with her before. His tone was so disgusting that I didn't even want to continue this conversation. Well, if you have nothing more to... No, wait a minute. I haven't finished yet. Now what? Want me to tell you what she is hiding from you? Go on. I was sure that Yulya had no secrets from me, but in my situation, any information could be useful. Never come back. No, they do come back, and you come back. At least you did before. I don't understand. I did tell you that you had already been here. So after 7 days, it doesn't matter whether you leave on a bus or fall asleep in the forest. You will find yourself sitting in the 410 again. But how? She told you that we just disappear, right? I did not answer. Well, I can't be sure she is lying. Maybe she doesn't know everything, but what I said is true. You and I were here many times. Of course, I've been here more times, but that doesn't matter. Okay, then why don't I remember anything? You will remember them all at some time later. That's what happened to me. And you're telling me that there is no escape from here? Yes, I am. I remember you told me that what happened today had never happened before, right? True. This is the first time. And how can you explain that? I won't. You're hoping that something will change. No way it will. We'll see about that. I decisively turned and walked away. To my surprise, the pioneer did not even try to stop me. I returned to the cabin and found Yulya carefully combing her tail. You were talking to him again. How do you know? For a moment I had doubts. Just guessed. He is supposed to appear when you're alone. Yes. And? You told me that nobody disappears, that we come back. Yulya didn't answer anything. Is that so? To tell you the truth, I don't know. I sat on the bed beside her and began to think. I don't know how long we were sitting there, but soon I started to fall asleep. Let's go watch the stars. I see what's happening here. After 7 days, I disappear. And she doesn't want that. She doesn't want me to fall asleep. She doesn't want to start over again. Shit. Let's go. I wanted to sleep badly, but at the same time I felt a sense of incompleteness. I was hoping fresh air would clear my thoughts. A few minutes later we were at the square. I sat on the bench and Yulya put her head in my lap and stared at the sky. Isn't it beautiful? It is. We sat in silence for quite a long time. So what will happen tomorrow? What do you mean? Well, tomorrow is the 7th day, so it's time to leave. Do you want to leave? Suddenly I was struck by a realization. I have heard this question many times before. According to you and him, even if I don't want to, I must. So let's leave. She smiled. Will you come with me? Of course I will. After all this, you must definitely marry me. I don't know of a single administration that would register marriages with cat girls. So we'll look for one. Okay, seriously though. What will happen tomorrow? In the evening the bus will come. You sure about that? Absolutely sure. It always comes. And we will take it. And then? Why are you asking all these stupid questions? Yulya protested. How should I know? Well, make a guess. And we will go back to your world. That would be... I stopped. We'll see. I sighed. And what about you and your many selves? I only look like this here, right? Over there I will just be a regular me. Sure, with the cat ears and the tail. Yulya hit me painfully in the ribs. Hey, I'm just joking. Maybe without a tail, she said sadly. No, I like it. Don't think anything like that. She said nothing, just closed her eyes. And what is it like? And what is it like over there? It's different. That's the best way I can put it. Some things are better, some are worse. We got internet. I chuckled. And what would I do there? And what would I do there? Well, I don't know. Let's solve the problems as they come. Alright. We sat there for a long time, talking about all sorts of foolish things. Finally, Yulya said, let's go to sleep. Okay, so I was wrong about that. We still need to take the bus tomorrow evening. Yes, good timing. I felt a wave of a terrible fatigue. Tomorrow is the time to pack our things. But I have nothing to pack. How about that? Yes, nothing to pack. But you know what? I have. For example, I giggled good naturedly. I just can't imagine what she was planning to take. A bunch of mushrooms, perhaps? What about my supplies for the winter? Apples, nuts, mushrooms? Do you really think you'll need all that? Of course! She jumped up and looked at me sternly. I'm going to sleep and you can do whatever you want. With these words, Yulya marched briskly towards the camp leader's cabin. Hey, I didn't... I rushed after her. After entering the cabin, Yulya immediately undressed, snuck into the bed and pulled a blanket over her head. I didn't mean anything like that. If you want to take your stores, let's take them. In the end, They could be useful for us, especially in my situation where anything could happen. I was just joking. She peeked out from under the blanket and stuck out her tongue. And now, sleep, commanded Yulya. I didn't mind it, so I undressed and lay down beside her and we fell asleep holding each other.